Matt's in New York, and Abel is playing with the devices. There we go.
There we go.
So that's what that was, and you got a sneak peek of our second guest.
Yeah. Well, welcome to another episode. I think this is 21st episode?
I don't know. Math is hard.
Math is hard. I am Abel Alejandre, and my lovely co-host, Lisa Derrick. And we are here with two guests for you. And we are here every Sunday at 5.
Live on DromeboxLabs.com. DromeboxLab.com.
And then we have the shows archived and available on YouTube. And you can see them via our Modern Art Blitz.com website.
Our dedicated art website, which you built for us as our executive producer.
Well, I would say it was fun. we needed it.
Because we have so many shows, and we have stills from the shows, behind the scenes shots, all kinds of good stuff. Yeah. So definitely check us out. And we now have a Facebook page, so please like our Facebook page.
Yes, absolutely.
Modern Art Blitz, and that's on Facebook.
We just had it just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so it's kind of super exciting.
Yeah, so
you can find us there.
So it's cool. So what do you have for us about
news? Well,
news-wise?
I am flushed with excitement over this story.
Are you?
Yes, the solid gold toilet that was supposed to open at the Guggenheim has been delayed because of technical difficulties. I don't know if that's because they needed to make it a low-flow toilet, or it needed to handle extra amounts of excrement because it is in a museum in New York. But it's a real toilet that you can use, which might be part of the problem because it's a solid gold toilet. People would go into the stall and it's in the Frank Lloyd Wright designed bathroom at the Guggenheim. So imagine you can't really videotape somebody not touching the art because it's somebody using it gets all kind of James Brown, or was it Chuck Berry? I forget. It was Chuck Berry. It was, sorry, James Brown. I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it. But you want to protect this work of art. I mean, imagine the urge. It's an 18-karat gold toilet. You could scratch your name in it. You could carve off a little piece as a souvenir.
What if you want to take off with the lid and retire?
But it's being fabricated in Italy, so maybe it's getting held up in customs. And, it's a riff on Marcel Duchamp's fountain,
right.
But the artist is calling it America, which I think is decidedly unoriginal for a toilet. Come on, couldn't you have thought of something better? The artist is named Maurizio Catalan. He's an Italian artist, and he actually publishes a paper called Toilet Paper. So I think he is definitely scatologically inclined, or scatophiliac.
I just have one thing to say. Why haters gotta hate? Why America?
Why America? Yeah, why America? I want to. Any other thing would have been. But actually, it is an interesting reference because Kanye West and Kim Kardashian have gold toilets. They have $1 million toilet.
Well, maybe they can help out the museum.
I hope so. Maybe they can put theirs on loan. So tell us about our guests.
So our first guest is Antonio Pelayo. A very exciting artist. Does excellent photorealistic, but not just photorealistic. It's just very intimate drawings, and I've been following his work for a couple of years. Obviously, since I draw, I have a keen interest in drawers. So please give it up for Antonio Pelayo.
I have to say, I am so excited to have you here. As someone who curates more than they do art, you are one of the most exciting curators in Los Angeles. You create these amazing events. The last few have been at Plaza de la Raza. You did La Bulla, which is based on La Luce, on wrestling, and then you also do the Day of the Dead shows at Plaza de la Raza, and you have 100 artists in each show. It's crazy insane. And you're an amazing artist on your own, and you have a secret career as one of 2 inkers and the only airbrusher left at Disney Studios, which is like amazing.
So we're in the
The only inker. Wow. And so how did you start at Disney?
So when I grew up in Mexico from when I was 9 to 16, came back here, and I started working at a small liquor store market, making sandwiches and doing all kinds of stuff. And then I was there till I was 18. When I quit that job, I was in the middle of deciding to what college to go to and what type of art I wanted to study. So I went to Apple One, the work agency, and I told them I'm just looking for some temp jobs. I'm not looking for a permanent job. So then they found me a couple of jobs here and there, and then the third one was Disney 5-day thing. So I started working at Disney. It was right here in Glendale.
And what was the job at Disney?
It was just like doing warehouse stuff, inventory stuff, easy stuff. But during those 5 days when I was there, I got to know a couple of the guys, and they told me that they were going to start an inking department. And I saw what it was, and then I told one of the guys, you know what, I'm an artist, I've been drawing since I was a kid, I think I can do that. So then he's like, well, talk to our boss. So I spoke to our boss later that day, and I told him that I'd like to try out for that position. And he's like, all right, well, come back tomorrow and then we'll do a test on you. So then I came back the next day, and I think I inked a couple of Mickey Mouses, and I passed it, and that was the first inker they hired.
Wow.
So I was in that department for about 6-7 months. Then where I'm at now, they needed inkers, and there's nowhere on the planet where they teach inking. And they knew about our department. They came over, they tested about 30 of us, and they picked out one guy that I showed how to ink. And then 2 months later, they came back and they picked out 2 of us.
And what exactly is inking?
Inking is transferring the animator's pencil lines onto a cell.
Wow.
Then the cell gets inked, gets painted, and that's what gets inserted into the camera, that's what gets shot, and that's what you see on film, on the animated films.
That is insane. And most animation now is done digitally?
All animation is done digitally.
Except for what you do?
Well, our department produces animation fine art. So that's what we do.
Wow, that's incredible. So
when you exhibit, outside of your your role at Disney.
Yes. So I started working at Disney when I was 19, and it was through Disney that I got exposed to art exhibits. Back then, I had no idea. I was green about the art world. But through Disney, they host art exhibits for their employees. So I went to one of them, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And that inspired me to start creating artwork. I wanted to create something to, exhibit. So then I started messing around with a couple of styles, and hyperrealism is what attracted me the most. So I started drawing portraits.
So, let's see if I can get this work right.
Once again, technology defeats us.
Or defeats me. Here we go.
There we go. Can we do another one?
Let's see. Let's see another one.
Let's see if we've got another one of his.
These
This is my latest work.
This is your latest work.
Yeah.
Tell me,
Nolan, can we zoom in on that?
let me.
There we go.
I have a close up. Here we go.
There we go. Thank you.
So that's the whole piece, but this is the detailed portion of that. And this has a very unfinished quality, but they're very ghostly. The work that I had seen in the past did not look like this.
Right.
So tell me about this. Tell us what.
Well, I'll tell you the evolution of my work. So when I started messing around with hyperrealism, I started doing portraits of icons. I had no idea what I was doing back then. So I did a series of maybe 20 icons of people that I admire, like Frida Kahlo. I'm sure you guys have seen that piece. And then I said I'm gonna create 20 pieces and then I'm gonna start pitching it to galleries. And in the middle of that, a friend of mine introduced me to Retina, and then in meeting him, he was curating shows back in 2004. So he had me in one of his shows in 2005, and then from that point on, I started exhibiting in a bunch of galleries. And then my work started changing. Obviously, I let go of the icon drawings, and then I decided to tell the story of my family's migration from Mexico. So the first series that I did on this was 12 pieces, and the full body was rendered. So the idea behind it, I didn't draw anything on the background, and the background represented the unknown. So parents or uncles coming from Mexico, coming to this land, which is unknown. So that was the whole idea behind that. And then this is the second part of that series, and I decided to take it a step further and not finish the characters. So I'm now playing with elements of like loss of identity. As you can tell, some of the pieces I placed them in weird locations.
Right.
So things that immigrants go through as they leave their loved land and family and go into an unknown. And
So tell us this piece. What's going on here?
My dad is the one to the right, and then the one on the left with the sombrero is his cousin, and then the older people in the middle are my uncle's parents. And it's a portrait taken in Mexico. So all this work is taken from family photos. And basically, I didn't render it for that reason. But I did render like the camera items that growing up, like my parents grew up poor, but they appreciated the little things that they had. So that's the meaning behind this piece.
Let's see what.
Oh, I love
I love this.
It's beautiful. There we go.
And this is a detail of it.
Right. So I see like and there are pieces that indicate identity. The purse, which is it's a very westernized purse. Then you have the sombrero and the camera. So you've got those pieces totally there. And then this is gorgeous. This is gorgeous.
Thank you.
And your son inherited your talent too.
He's been drawing since he was around 2 years old.
And how old is he now?
He's 19.
And I met him a couple years ago, and he's moved to Las Vegas, and he's tattooing there.
He's going to school out there.
Yeah.
Going to UNLV for art school.
Excellent. And he's got a solo show coming up.
He's got a solo show coming up June 18th.
Where?
Where forgot the address.
But where the name of the gallery?
It's in Culver City, Over the Edge Book Gallery, produced by Paul Stewart.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isaac is incredible. I hope he's going to be I hope he's going to be here long enough to tattoo because I kind of want something from him.
We can make that happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
So, where are you showing these new works?
These are currently at the gallery where I'm represented, which is Launch by James Panazzo, above Mary Karnowski. So all these pieces are there right now.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So, like this month, so if people win, they could go see your work right now.
It might be down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, maybe like a week ago it went down. Yeah.
And who are these people?
My dad is the little boy to the right, and then the little boy to the left is his cousin, and then an aunt. And it's the same idea from the other ones. Growing up, they grew up poor. They didn't have a lot of things, so I wanted to render those items to indicate.
But you render them with such dignity, and very, it's just beautiful.
So this is part of a series. What's the next phase? This is sort of the transitional movement. They're in a liminal state. They're coming here. So what's the next one? Here?
Possibly. But I'm also currently working on a Lucha Libre series.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is Lucha Libre so important to you? I mean, you do an annual exhibition celebrating it.
Yeah, this happened last Saturday.
It did.
Actually.
Yeah.
We had about 4,000 people.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And what was the what was that called?
La Bulla.
Say it slowly for the
La Bulla.
La Bulla.
LABULLA.
Even I can say it though.
Oh man, that's a hard one.
La Bulla.
So Bulla is my nickname. And the story behind that is that my dad was a huge fan of Lucha Libre. That's the only sport he ever watched. And when I was a baby, I resembled a Japanese wrestler called Shibuya. So that's where the name came from. And then Bulla means it means party, it means noise in Spanish.
Kind of like booyah, the like rap land. So at La Bulla, you have wrestlers, you have music, you have a ton of art, and it's an amazing cultural celebration. What Lucha Libre is different from like WWE wrestling, aside from the masks, there's more drama and more story behind it, isn't there?
I think there's more drama, there's more story, and their athleticism is incredible. I mean, the things that they do in the air are just incredible.
Those jumps. And what do you think of things like the new versions where it's like primarily girls? I think it's Lucha Vavoom and Lucha Loca. How do you think that's? Do you think that they're taking lucha seriously, or that they're kind of mocking it and satirizing it, or?
Possibly, but I don't. I mean, I'm a fan of Lucha Vavoom. I'm not a fan. I'm not familiar with the other one.
It's a slightly different one, but I mean, it's fascinating to me how it's transitioned to where women are like, yeah, we want to do this and we want to try it, and they sexy it up a little bit more than La Lucha Libre. But it's,
well, I don't know. I mean, if you look at some of the luchadores,
I don't. They're not my body type. I don't know. I kind of go for the lean swimmer body of Jesus. But and actually, there was just a Lucha Vavoom show for Cinco de Mayo.
Yes.
There was some of the lovely ladies of La Lucha.
Yeah, it's very entertaining. Rita knows about my event.
It would be great if you could maybe have a special.
We tried, but it's not possible for things that we can't talk about here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I won't. But
now we gotta know.
No. This is an art show. So let's go back to talking about your art.
Let's see.
Necktie. Okay, so these are the men of the family?
Yeah. The one to the left is my mom's dad, and the one to the right is my mom's brother.
Wow.
So in the original photo, they're hugging. So I decided to separate them and to put them in awkward areas in the piece.
I see, and their hands, I see where you disconnected them from each other, the arms around each other.
Disconnection, feeling out of place, feeling awkward, loss of identity. All these things are
immigrant story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, the necktie, they're taking on that Western identity, that American identity.
Right.
Because they're already in the West. They were here
Exactly.
first.
So what is next for you?
I don't know what's next, but I'm currently working on the Lucha Libre series. Yeah.
So
That's what's current right now.
So that's what's going on in the studio?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And is that going to be black and white, or are you going to add color to it?
I actually did one piece that I added a little bit of color, just color pencil. So yeah, I'll probably add a little color to the pieces. Yeah.
And when is your next big event from your event organization?
My productions?
Your productions.
July 30th, it's an event called Tatuaje, and it's basically all about the tattoo culture.
Wow.
So in the exhibit, we feature nothing but tattoo artists, and my partners in that event is Freddy Negrete.
Excellent.
So the exhibit is the artwork of tattoo artists, mostly from LA, but we have some from around the globe. And we're going to feature about 20 artists from Mexico, like the top tattoo artists from Mexico this time.
And where is that going to be?
At Plaza de la Raza as
Plaza de
well.
la Raza.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
are there going to be tattoo artists tattooing?
Yes, we're gonna have. We can't have. It can't be like a convention because it's Plaza de la Raza. But we're gonna have 6 tattoo artists enter a competition, and it's gonna be like a demo.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. Plus, of course, you have excellent food there, you have beverages, entertainment, and the always beautifully curated artwork.
Right.
This is going to be great. And all the artwork's for sale, and it's a one-day
Yes.
event.
It's a one-night event.
Yeah, do not to be missed. And that's
Right.
July 30th?
July 30th, tatuaje, and then I'm in the middle of talking to the Peterson Museum about producing LA Story with them. That is possibly going to happen in August. And then the last one is the one that I've been producing since 2010, El Velorio. It's a Day of the Dead event.
And so what would the event at the Peterson be like, LA Story?
A small exhibit, some screenings of lowrider films,
Excellent.
possibly with Esteban Oriol or Lowrider Magazine, and a car show, obviously, food, drinks, music.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Thank
Sounds
you.
like a great time.
Thank
Oh,
you
yeah.
for preserving Southern California Southland culture, our Southland culture, and opening it up to a wider audience.
I love what I do.
And you do a great job.
It's a lot of work, but I love it.
And thank you for your beautiful artwork.
thank
I've
you.
been a fan of yours since the beginning, and and thank you for keeping the inking alive at Disney. That's really important. You are tapped into tradition, and you're carrying it through to the future. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for coming in and sharing your work with us. I have one more question, if I may ask it. Why black and white?
I never really messed around with color growing up. It was just pencil. I mean, the story behind that is that I'm from a small town in Mexico called El Palmar, and we were Jehovah's Witnesses. So I really didn't have friends. So what I did was just, hide myself and draw. And I didn't have many tools. All I had was pencil and paper. So that's what I grew up doing. Yeah. Eventually I'll start messing with color. But yes.
I hear you on that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting how religion has formed so many people's reactions to art.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you're here.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for coming again.
Thank you.
All right. So we are.
We have a next guest.
We have our next guest.
Who will be with us in a moment once we do the handy dandy mic change. But
He has his own mic
he
today.
has his own mic today.
Yeah.
Wow.
There
We
we
are
go.
stepping up in the. So tell us about our next guest, because he is one of my favorites, but I love your intros.
That's awesome.
Alex Arizpe.
All right.
Alex.
Please give it up. He is. I just met Alex about a year ago, not even a year ago, I think, and his work just blew me away. But I did not know that was his work. But I just met this cool cat, and so.
I'll tell you my Alex story is that he was showing at a tiny little gallery next to a bar in my neighborhood, and the curator called me and said, "This guy's work is really incredible. Can you please write a piece about it?"
At the End Gallery.
At the End Gallery, and I did. And actually, that was a show in January of 2014, I think.
Yeah, it was.
And I went to the show. It was a very important night for me with a lot of stuff that happened in my life. And I got to see your artwork, but I didn't meet you.
No.
And then I met you at the Beverly Hills Art Show, and I'm like, oh, wait,
that's right.
shit, I wrote about you.
Yeah,
So
that
we've
was
got
pretty
this,
cool.
Yeah, so that's how it all clicked together. The story of your artwork is so profound and beautiful. So
I think I
Thank
broke
you.
this.
So while we're looking at this, had you always been, and there's a lucha libre story too, isn't there? Doesn't your?
Yeah, my dad was a Mexican masked wrestler. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, and also a magician.
Nolan.
A magician, yeah.
Yeah.
A pilot, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, but I love that we've got we've got La Lucha Libre happening here in two different ways.
Oh, here we go.
But your artwork came out of a really intense situation in your life.
Yes.
And it's very visible and demonstrative in your artwork. And I don't think any discussion of your artwork would be complete without mentioning that you kicked cancer's ass really hard, and
twice.
And you show that in your art.
Yeah, I do.
The struggles that you had, your just day-to-day struggles, even things like getting up and going to the refrigerator to get food. That's one piece that really struck me. Where you're like, and you use those swirls of color to represent your body and pain and the chemo and the radiation going through you. And so how do you get those amazing marvel? I mean, first of all, that you went through so much and you came out as positive and excited to create and into what you do is a miracle. I mean, you're boxing now.
Yeah, now.
Yeah, you're boxing, you're painting, and you're inspiring a lot of people, but you don't walk around going, whoa, like you don't let the fact that you kicked cancer's ass, because the survivor thing is like a freaky phrase for me, so I'm gonna just like, you're a cancer's ass kicker. You don't let that define you, but yet it motivated your artwork in such a strong way.
Yeah, it did. It gave me a solid body of work once I started putting these things together, and like this one, for instance, with the fridge, that's an actual moment. From that time, at that point, I don't think I knew I had an 8-inch tumor in my abdomen, and right after a shower, my back, I had a slip disc, and then of course, being a diabetic, my sugar dropped, so I had to drag myself to the refrigerator just like that to try to get some kind of like orange juice or some kind of drink like that to get the sugar up. But that day was definitely a pain in the ass, but that's like a direct moment there. Others are like representations of how I interpret those moments.
Right.
So
on top of all of this, you're also diabetic.
On top of that, yeah, high blood pressure. I got everything. I'm walking death. But
we're
doing it.
For a Walking Dead guy, you're pretty hot. I mean, I have to say.
It took me a lot of years to be this mediocre. Believe me. A lot of hard work in that.
You're kicking ass, brother.
So, but yeah, I've just I've never had such a hard time trying to become human again, and
how long were you in the grips of tumors and?
Well, I found out in 2008, but I think I had that tumor growing in for about 4 years. So it took them a while to find out what the big mystery disease was until they did an ultrasound and found the lumps.
Why didn't they just do the ultrasound? Like at a certain point, like isn't that easier than running a whole bunch of blood tests and stuff?
Yeah, but they thought since my legs had stopped working for a while, they might think it was neuropathy due to the diabetes. So they did those kind of tests first before that.
So our technology is fighting against us once again, but we will be showing more.
But you're a fighter. So
yeah, here we go. Since the camera's on me too long.
So what is the best punch that you throw? What's your favorite?
See,
a roundhouse, an uppercut?
My favorite is the left hook.
Because they don't think it's coming? Are you?
Well, it's because it's the closest punch to your opponent.
Right. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Right. So they would think maybe you would swing a right.
Well, if you come across a person in the street that wants to fight you that's right-handed, most likely they'll throw a right hand. But if you're in the boxing ring, they'll throw a jab first with the left hand.
Really?
Yeah, just to
test you?
to tap the distance. If they can touch you with that, then they can hit you with the right hand.
Wow.
So they're just testing the water.
Yeah, just testing the water.
Okay,
so talking about the water,
let's.
What do we have here?
This one is called Death on Standby.
Very much so.
That came up just from.
That's
there's
beautiful.
a lot of. Thanks. There's a lot of shower moments, you know. A lot of shit's happened to me in the bathroom, no pun intended. But
Wow, we're having a poopy. What are you
Yeah,
talking
there you
about?
go.
I know, it's the theme of the show.
and we're drinking green drinks. So, yeah, this is what it felt like when I would shower, whatever time of the day. You know, some people's. I've talked to a lot of people that have been sick over the years, and one of their moments of peace happens to be when they're in the shower, when they're, you know, under that hot water like that. But it always felt like death was on standby, like I named the painting, and so that's what it signifies. There is just death, just kind of smoking a cigarette, just waiting around for me, just because it probably thought it was my time.
I've seen some of your other artwork, and you have death in there as a one-dimensional black shadow. And even in this picture, there's an element of the feminine in death.
Yeah, well, the other, you know, it's funny. It's like that's why I have to, I guess, separate these by background into different series, because in this particular one, it's death, and the other, in this one right here, a lot of people interpret it as me embracing death. And though it was true, it was really about when I was married and completely sick like that. My wife at the time, I couldn't enjoy her. I couldn't enjoy all the things that you enjoy about being in love with each other because you're sick. So it just felt like she was a constant shadow. She was definitely present, but she was a shadow. It just, I couldn't enjoy her features. I couldn't enjoy anything because, you know, you're just in the grips of death, trying to claw your way out, pretty much.
You do some sculptures as well. That are very similar to your paintings, which I don't have those.
Yeah,
those
no, I do.
photos,
Yeah, I make
but-
wire sculptures, and you know, I just recently painted a clay sculpture that just completely broke to hell, but I try to use that same technique on there. But the wire sculptures, yeah, they're from a different series called The Burden of Memory, and that's why most of them have like elephant heads and faces and stuff like that. You know,
Because
they
an
say
elephant never
an
forgets.
elephant. Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to forget a lot of things, but unfortunately I can't. So, you know.
So, how and when did you start doing art? Did you go to art school, or was this just something you were passionate about and self-taught? Or
Yeah, I was self-taught. I always painted and did this and that when I was a kid. I think it comes from both of my parents being creative like they were. You know, my dad being a magician, my mom being a flamenco dancer. And
Wait, your dad was a magician?
yeah, he was a
And a
magician on
luchador.
top of the wrestler
Oh
and
my
wrestling and all that stuff. And then, you know, my mom was a flamenco dancer, and my parents wanted me to follow in my dad's footsteps of being a magician. And, you know, I just think about it now, how hard it is to be an artist in this day and age, much less an up-and-coming magician. You know, in times like this, you know, I don't know where else to do magic except Big Lots. You know? So.
You know, one of the Walmart aisles.
Yeah, one of those would be good. Yeah. Promote the new.
So what do we have here? This is similar to the last one.
Yeah, it is. I just really wanted to make that image. You know, anytime that I show that painting, people don't relate it immediately to intercourse, and I never did either. It's just another image of not being able to enjoy the one you love. And I just wanted an excuse to actually add that Moroccan pufa at the bottom, you know, to try to test myself to see if I could detail it like that. And there were a lot of tears involved, but I did it.
and well too.
Finished
and well. So how do you do that amazing swirl stuff that represents your body in these works?
Well, I just drip the paint on the canvas, and occasionally I'll do an outline, or I'll just paint the whole figure in the flesh. And then, you know, after pouring the canvas on, it's pretty much like an oh shit effect, you know, where you're just like, oh God, oh shit, I got to keep it in the line, you know, you do it like that. And it eventually forms all these, you know, all these different ways that the paint is moving. Sometimes it's moving up and down and all around, just in the same, you know, on the same canvas.
Let's see here.
But it does look like insides, you know?
It does, yeah.
Like what you envision, sort of like all the soupiness of everything.
It does, yeah. Especially when it's mixed up. But a lot of people think it's only that. It's like, oh, it's a skinless human. Oh, it's this and that.
It's more than that.
Yeah, it's an interpretation of what pain looks like. It feels like to me, and just what it does when it taints your soul's bloodstream, pretty much. And
well, they're very evocative. This piece in particular, it's like
Matt sold that one actually.
Which gallery?
From the back room of Coagula.
Oh, excellent.
Excellent. Yeah. So
what's happening here?
This was made before I knew I was sick. Before I knew I had cancer. I just really felt like shit for a long time, and I came up with this idea of trying to depict what pain looked like to me.
So was this the first in that series where you take the paint and you?
Yeah, it was one of the first. It was one of the first. That's why I had to think twice about it when Matt sold it. I almost thought about saying, "Wait, I wasn't ready to sell that yet."
No, but that's good because symbolically, it's letting go of a certain.
Yeah, it is. I couldn't let. I'm very attached to these paintings. I mean,
Well, do you
they're
like
very
to
famous
live?
in my apartment.
You like to live with the work before you release it, or how do you feel about that?
Well, I've only lived with the work this whole time, until I, met the folks at the In Gallery, and then, came across Matt, and then you guys, I mean, these things have been on my wall the whole time, and, I just, I wake up and I see that's the first thing I see and the last thing I see. It's not so good when somebody's living with you and sees that, but, I can look at them and be like, okay, that happened. And sometimes I wonder how I had the energy to even execute these things, so, I pretty much live with them. They're on my walls. I mean, you've been to my place, and that's pretty much how they've been for years.
Well, it looks like every studio I've ever visited.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I don't know how many studios you've gone to, but, a lot of artists just live with the work.
Yeah, I couldn't do anything other than that.
I always, I'm always excited when a piece sells, except when it has to leave the studio. Then it bums me out a little bit.
Yeah, it bums me out too.
But once you move it into a gallery and it sells, are you okay with it?
Well, it still bums me out if they don't come back home.
Yeah, you feel there's a certain part of you that feels like it's missing.
I'm always happy when.
No, it's like I don't know if this happens to you, but like I'll feel like, oh, that was my favorite.
Yeah, well, I don't sell very many of them, but they are part of the series, like a story. So when one is like taken out of there, it's just like, oh man, now it makes the story kind of incomplete because it's like almost like a narrative. I'm like 40 paintings deep into what could be about 100. Because they represent probably like a minute of that life.
How long was your whole process kicking cancer's ass?
It was from 2008, and I think it ended like 2010 or 11, and I lost a lot of my ability to articulate and spell my name and
chemo brain.
All that chemo brain, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
chemo brain is real. So
yeah, no, it definitely was. That's why I think the two of you know so well how I go on my long rants on Facebook.
Oh, but you're awesome. That's what and really everyone should friend Alex on Facebook because he is one of the funniest, driest, most cynical, yet I think your cynicism comes out of a love of humanity and just like the fact that you stared death in the face and kicked it in the balls.
Yeah, you definitely get a different perspective and almost clearly what's bullshit and what's not anymore. But, I see so many things clogging up my feet and just, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to say something about that.
Or just delete the person.
Yeah, that's the thing. I usually don't delete them, and
you just keep them around.
Yeah, I just keep them around, It's like, I know you just saw what I wrote, but they just choose not to hit like on that button.
You're pushing some buttons, but they aren't the like button. So
tell us about this shower piece. This one's the person is in the mirror.
Yeah, this is actually one of my favorite pieces, and I'll just go on record now and saying that my ex-wife has a lot to do with helping motivate my ass to finish pieces a lot sooner. And she actually came up with this idea. And some of these, you know, are paintings almost through her perspective of what she would see. And she thought, well, would it be cool to capture that, you know, figure in the mirror, you know, and you don't see anything over here, you know. And luckily she knows my work very well, and pretty much, you know, I was stuck on a painting for about 7 months and decided, I was like, well, you know what, I gotta ask her about it. And I finished it the next week, you know. So
so what happens once you kick cancer's ass, and are you still gonna have something to be angry about?
Yeah, there's always something to be angry about. I'm definitely pretty pissed off person sometimes. I got the nickname Angry Alex when I was at my last job. And I'm just fed up.
But that was before the cancer.
I'm pretty much the same guy still,
Alex.
you know.
Yeah,
and,
I get that sense.
Yeah, I've always pretty much been the same guy. Now I'm just more willing to be him, I guess, you know. But this painting was about the Hickman catheter and what a pain in the ass that was.
And is that the one that goes directly to the heart?
Yeah, well, it goes through the chest and goes up over the collarbone into the aorta. And it was for a failed stem cell transplant, but my stem cells were too damaged from the previous chemo, so it just failed. So to keep them from sinking my veins, they just administered chemo through that tube for the rest of the time. And
it's usually a latex tube, so if you have a latex allergy, there's a whole hell of a lot.
Yeah. Luckily, I didn't have any, but you know, it's just such a pain in the ass because there's 2 tubes coming out of that one, and you have to flush them out and all that kind of stuff with saline and tape it up to go shower. I think that's what finally made me lose the sense of being human and gave me a solid body of work to.
I can't even envision. I mean, you're more or less alone, unless when your wife was there, having to deal with flushing tubes, taping yourself up. You've got weird plastic part.
Yeah, it completely, you know, takes away any part of being human, and yeah, that really just got to me. That was the final straw, because there's no definite answer on when it was coming out, and. You know,
and how long was it with you?
About 3 or 4 months. So that's 3 or 4 months of flushing it every day, you know, and then for them to tell you, well, it didn't work, you know, and I really got chemo brain after that, because it's, you know, right going through straight to the jugular.
So. Well, now you have all this life experience.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, good times, right? You know, shit to draw from.
Yeah.
And you know, I was in New York a couple years ago, and I remember I saw a solo exhibition, an artist. The title of the show was "My Summer in Mexico," and I'm like, you know, that's really fucking nice.
Yeah, no kidding.
If that's all you have, you know, to report on with your work.
Yeah, most of us don't. Yeah, we can't think about summers in Mexico. We're too busy trying to survive something deadly at one time or another. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
So
pretty lame.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what do you have? What future plans do you have? You have any exhibitions coming up?
Well,
any projects?
I guess after here, I'm gonna go home and sob loudly into a pillow, and then after that, I think I might. Well, you know, it's been suggested time and time again that I put all these rants on Facebook in a book next to my paintings. So I think I'm going to be working on that for now. You know, there's a few paintings that I'm trying to finish up, you know, that are also concerning these shower scenes. But I think my main focus might be on that, even though, you know, I can't punctuate with the shit, but I try to spell most of my words correctly.
Well, you know, there's always people who will help you with your punctuation.
Yeah, that's for, I feel good about that, you know.
Yeah, believe me, there will be a whole long line of lady proofreaders over there wanting
Yeah.
to help you put your semicolon into place.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
you spend a lot of time in the ring, boxing. It's a important part of your
now it is
your life, right? I wonder why you don't put some of that in your work, like the boxing.
Well, I do, but it's very hard to take pictures in the gym that I go to. You know, it's a wild card boxing gym where they train Pacquiao and all that kind of stuff, and they don't like you to take videos or pictures too often. But I got to talk to them and see, because that's one of the main things actually missing from this series is the boxing, and how hard it was to actually not be discouraged, you know, because when we were in the chemo ward, they're always telling you, hey, just remember Lance Armstrong, and that's before we found out about Lance Armstrong. So my dumb ass was eating Cheerios and a tuna sandwich, getting my ass kicked for like 2 years straight, wondering, well, why isn't it working? Well, it's, you know.
Because he's Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, exactly, you know, and so.
Did they say that you'd get like Sheryl Crow as a girlfriend when you were done too?
No, no, but they did, you know, try to encourage you like that. And of course, you know, I thought, you know, I could come back better and stronger, and, you know, out of sheer ignorance, I pretty much did, you know, because I do feel younger than when I was 29, now at 39.
Right.
And,
I think it's more than ignorance. I think it's grit and determination and gumption.
Yeah, you know, it's very hard to start up something like that when you have no strength. You know, I was also a drummer for like over 20 years, and after the chemo,
And were you in a
Jazz
band?
or punk rock? Or?
No, it was rock. Yeah, it's hard rock, and you know, I couldn't lift the sticks after the chemo. I mean, you know, sticks don't weigh anything but a few ounces, and then I, you know, eventually I got into the boxing, and yeah, I used to think, well, what the hell am I going to do in there getting my ass kicked? And sure enough, there I was. But it does get, you know, it tests you a lot. But it's a good metaphor for life, for things that you might not necessarily want to do, but have to. Because 4 out of 5 times out of the week, I don't want to get into the ring, but I still do it because life has taught me that I have to do it. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, it's pretty...
Do you do anything with your music?
Not anymore. No, I was burned out on that after so many, you know, the DIY and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. Plus, you know, being a diabetic, it's kind of hard to stop every 4 hours to eat between a gig. You know, we got to live off of chicken noodle soup, man.
So this is one more shower?
Yeah.
Another shower? We did a whole lot of showers.
Yeah,
there was a lot of stuff, like I said.
A lot of stuff going on in the bathroom.
Yeah,
I know.
That one's called Smelling Soap, and it was a moment where, that was, of course, another moment of peace for me when I would get in the shower to escape the pain. But my ex-wife always had this Moroccan soap she would bring back from Morocco, and it was just the nicest smelling soap that I would sit in the shower for at least 45 minutes to an hour just.
That's why we have a drought.
Like, yeah, exactly. That's why. I took it all up. I soaked it up.
You're in the rest of Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
Your estates.
Yeah.
Just have to be clean, don't you?
So, you know what? I think we are nearing our end. Here on Modern Art Blitz at droneboxlab.com and modernartblitz.com. Woo! And on Facebook.
And on Facebook.
That's right. This has been an awesome show. I miss Matt, but I love being here with you. I won't be here next week. I'm going to a memorial for Marilyn Nix, who was a great supporter of the arts in Los Angeles. She wrote a biography on Ed Moses, and she founded CARP. She did work for Pacific Standard Time. She volunteered her time for Wikipedia to create Wikipedia entries for Los Angeles artists.
Oh, okay.
And she died recently, and there's a memorial for her, so I'm going to be there. But I will send Modern Art Blitz's regards. And
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I won't be here either.
You won't be in the Skechers sheet? See?
I am going to Oregon to go visit my BFF, Mr. Nick Tran.
Who doesn't like his name mentioned? Who doesn't like to be mentioned. Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
Hi, Nick.
But
oh my gosh! So is Matt going to be all alone?
Matt's going to be all alone.
No, he'll find a sidekick somewhere.
Yeah.
He'll dig up somebody. But I want to thank both of our guests and you and Dronebox.
Thank you guys for having me here.
Oh, thank you for joining us and sharing your work.
And somebody will be back here next week at 5 o'clock live on Modern Art Blitz.
Yes, and
Nolan, you can play us out.
You think you're living, you're already dead. Welcome to the land